Welcome to Krav Life. My name is Paul Simos, and today I got a special guest with me, Mr. Joseph Edmondson. How are you doing, sir?
I'm wonderful, sir. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, sir. So where are you calling us from today?
I am in Arizona, Gilbert, Arizona. Sunny, warm Gilbert.
Nice. And so for the people that don't know who you are, can you give us just a little bit about what's the name of your studio and how did you get started in martial arts or Krav or?
Sure, most definitely. So again, my name is Joseph Edmondson. I'm the head coach and master instructor at Next Level Fitness and Martial Arts, Next Level Krav Maga in Gilbert, Arizona. I got started in the martial arts when I was 4 years old. I don't share this with many people, but I mean, since it's such a wide audience, like why not? Like my first name is actually Lauren. So it's Lauren Joseph Edmondson, Loren. And when I started school at 4 years old in Oakland, California, Lauren was considered a girl's name. I mean, people weren't named like Apple and Orange and Kumquat and stuff like they are now. So Lauren was a unique name, and it got me in a lot of conflict, a lot of fights at a very young age. So my mom had heard of the martial art Taekwondo and how it had just come over to the US and was growing in the Bay Area and was supposedly really good for character development and teaching, people to have focus and channel their energy and not fight so much. So she put me in Taekwondo, which was amazing. And it taught me how to fight better. So the fights just lasted less time. And it wasn't until I was a teenager that I really learned how to channel and focus that energy. And I turned it into competition. Won a lot around the country, won 4 national championships in Olympic Taekwondo at various levels and age groups. And then switched my focus and my energy to full contact fighting and point fighting. I won 9 world championships between point and full contact. My goal was to get in Black Belt magazine. So, once I accomplished that goal the first time, I was like, oh, I want to get in film. I want to do this. And I did some stunt work and a few things. And then I got injured competing in 2004. So I retired and turned a lot of my focus over to my students and my studio, which was a blessing because I'm sure you're familiar, but when you're traveling and competing, like you're training all the time and then you're gone every weekend and you're fighting all around the country. And I didn't really focus that much on my business. So my business, although it was good, it really wasn't where I wanted it to be. And it wasn't until I retired from competing and started focusing on my business that it started to grow. So I had 6 schools in Arizona, and then the 2008, 2009 economic crash hit, and I was down to 2 schools, which I held on to as long as I could. In about 2010, I was forced to close both of those. So I went into the regular workforce and earned a good living for a while, put some money away. And I said, if the timing is right and the place is right, I would love to open up a school again. This is what I feel I was put on this earth to do. And that opportunity came in 2014 here in Gilbert. So I opened up a school, and now we have 2 in this area and affiliates around the US. So I'm very blessed. Thank you.
Nice. And at what point did you transition from Taekwondo into Krav Maga?
That's a very good question, Paul. So I can't tell you an exact point. I have always been fascinated from watching Bruce Lee movies to Chuck Norris movies and things like that when I was a kid. As everybody, Bruce Lee was an inspiration. That was my first look at what is now MMA, right? I wasn't familiar with Krav Maga, even though, it has been going on since the 40s. Like it wasn't in the US at that time. So I cross-trained in other things. I've cross-trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which I'm heavily into now, just because I believe that it makes my Krav better, right? To understand what it is Jiu-Jitsu practitioners are looking to do physically and mentally. It helps my training in Krav Maga a lot. So I've done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I've done Muay Thai, I've done Balintawak and Eskrima, I've done some Kali. I've done boxing, which helped, my full contact career. So I've always dabbled in things that I thought made my martial arts better as a whole. And I've brought a lot of that into my students and what I teach them. So when I found Krav Maga, which was in the mid to late 90s, is when I first heard of it and started training at it in the early 2000s, and then stopped. With my injury, I basically stopped doing everything for a while. But I loved Krav Maga. So when the opportunity came in 2014 to open up my school again, I knew I wanted it to be a Krav school, not a Taekwondo school. So we had to, starting from scratch, from zero. When I had the opportunity before, my first school I opened in 1993. So that was the last time that I had to build something from zero. When I opened up multiple schools, we always took students from one school and said, hey, for a while, go train at this other school, the new school. So that school had revenue, it had students, and it wasn't, every class was a private lesson. So it made it a lot easier. When I started in 2014 here in Gilbert with Next Level, it was 0 students. So, and nobody had heard of really Krav Maga. I think there was 2 other schools in the entire state that were Krav Maga schools at the time. So I reached out to my friend Daryl and I said, hey, I want to do Krav again. Who are you affiliated with? And he told me he was affiliated with Sam Sadeh at Alpha Krav Maga. So he put me in touch with Sam. I loved Sam. He's awesome. Amazing coach. So I went down to California and talked to him and trained with him. And we brought Krav Maga to Gilbert, Arizona.
Nice. And so, and what year was that?
That was 2014 that I started with Sam.
Okay.
So I've been doing Krav Maga for about 6 or 7 years on and off. And then I did it for about 6 years with Sam. And then the last 2.5 years, I've been training with Grandmaster Neil Farber and with Itai Gill. So I recently just got my 4th degree under Protect. I train privately about 10 to 12 hours a week for the last 2.5 years, just to ramp up what I've learned. We had a lot of downtime during COVID, so I used it to make my skill set better. Yeah.
So what's it like doing Protect?
Protect is amazing. Protect is not a start you from zero, know nothing about martial arts or Krav Maga and build you up through, black belt. Protect is you already have a skill set and ability, and they take it and make it real world. So Itai Gill, Grandmaster Gill, that is the head of Protect. He was the captain in the Yamam, the IDF. Yamam is the counterterror warfare team. And he was the captain in there. So he did all of the trainings. Our SEALs would go train with them. All of our different military branches would go train with them because they were in it every day. So from a reality-based standpoint, there is a vast difference between classroom environment and street. And then there is a huge difference between street and warfare, right? So learning from him has been a great experience because it's that explosive reality, put you in a room and, what we call combat at zero. So it is, performance under pressure, straight line, let's go, let's get to it. So if the person has a knife, it's multiple stabs, fast action stabs with the knife. And there have been a lot of, deaths. If I was, had 9 lives, I would need 50 lives, because Protect is just you die, and then you die less and less, and you progress your skills that way. But it's been amazing. I really love it. It just takes my skill set to the next level, and what I have to offer my students and my affiliates, it brings their training up as well.
So how does Protect fit in with your base Krav Maga? Is it something that, the higher level students end up learning, or is it something that filters through the entire system?
It is both. We use it primarily for our higher level and our instructors, which most of our higher level students are in our instructor training. I do instructor training twice a month, where we do about 2 to 3 hours of training, and I'll teach them that higher level, more of the protect stuff and the Krav Maga with Grandmaster Farber that I do. So they learn that stuff more. And then we do a lot of seminars and workshops for our students that are based upon the things in protect. Like we'll do a knife defense workshop, we'll do a carjacking workshop, we'll do a home invasion workshop. So we do those things. And then the lower students, which are still developing their basics, you know, I think that if I was to do it earlier with them, we might, it's very aggressive, as I know you can imagine and understand. So I think we would scare a lot of people away, you know. We wait a little bit to get them to that point.
So trying to understand. So yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Okay, so for protect, is it more on the like self-defense, or is it more third-party protection? Like, is like, what realm does it sort of fall under? If
it falls under the self-defense aspect, although I do use it for my third-party protection as well. I do a lot of EP work, and I train a lot of law enforcement and EP guys. So it really falls into that. I mean, we have segments that are third-party protection, like what would you, how would you walk with your client, right? So if that's your asset and you're there to protect them, where would you stand? Where would you walk next to them? What if somebody was coming from the front and a quick stab knife, like you had no idea it was coming? What would you do? And most people that are in that realm, even in, FBI, CIA, things like that do personal protection. We've trained these people through ETI and Protect, and these individuals, and they push the client aside, and meanwhile they're going for their gun, and they don't address the threat initially that is in front of them. So it's eye-opening, the third-party protection aspect of it. We take that into Protect does trainings for military. They do trainings for third-party protection. They do trainings for law enforcement. And then he has special programs that we do for airline personnel, for, what are they called on the planes? The air marshals. Air marshals. So we do trainings for them as well. Like it's very vast. But what we mainly do in the studio for our Krav Maga is the self-defense aspect of it, the reality-based self-defense. Multiple attackers, weapons, and hard training. Like when people are fighting instead of just that static classroom environment, things aren't always dynamic. They're more static. Nobody is ever really going 100% because people don't want to get injured. They're a chiropractor or a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, they do in real life, and they can't, injure their hands. They're out of work. One of my students the other day, I had a jiu-jitsu tournament over the weekend. And I asked him, hey man, you should have competed. Why didn't you compete? And he said, if I get injured, 4 families don't eat, because he owns his own company. So if he doesn't work, nobody works. And, that's his take on it. So we have to consider that when we train, and the level at which we train at, that, what people do for a living, and how what we do affects them.
Yeah. I guess not everyone can do Krav Maga professionally like we do, right?
Exactly. They're not fortunate enough. But even in Taekwondo, like you're familiar with the ranking in Taekwondo. And I mean, we broke boards, and then we broke bricks and things like that. I can't tell you how many times I broke my hand hitting a brick. And I'm like, what was the purpose of that? So when I thought about, I'm opening my own studio and how do I want to do things, I take from all my experiences. And then how can I make that experience for a student better? What would I like to, what did I like? What did I dislike? And breaking boards and breaking bricks were the things that were just not, there was no purpose in them. It's focus and it's relaxation and it's speed and it's power. And okay, let's find different ways to teach those things that aren't going to risk injuring our students. Because it's not just from a business standpoint. I don't just think, hey, if this person gets injured, that's $3,000 a year that I'm not receiving in revenue. I'm looking at it because I care about this person, and they may not be able to work, or their pinky may go north when it's supposed to go south. And, like those things, like going through a lot of broken bones and bumps and bruises and surgeries and things myself, having beat my body up, from a little kid, where now when I get out of bed, like I have to go right to the bathroom and roll icy hot on my back, like just to stretch in the morning. Like, it's crazy. And I don't want people to have to go through that. So if I can teach them in a safe environment where they are learning and growing, getting a great workout, and they're enjoying it, then I think that for the long term, we will keep people in this field longer. Right.
Okay. So how do you introduce someone into the world of Krav without scaring them off?
You have to it's a catch-22. Like, you have to really show them, like, hey, the other things that you've seen or you might have learned, like, have nothing to do with what we're doing in here. So, it starts with stances and strikes and things, but it can get aggressive in the very first class, where whether it's a, choke from the front and you're doing choke with a push rotation, whether it's a ground defense, I try to find out in speaking to people, like, what are some of their fears? And then I try to teach them in that very first class some skills to overcome them. So once they see that they can be empowered through Krav Maga, that they can be safe in their training and that they feel comfortable, then hopefully they'll want to continue. And that's what happens for the most part. And we've got a lot of women that we work with that have been, sex traffic victims, assault victims, and we have to be very cautious about that. So we as instructors do a lot of sensitivity training on, I can see that this person is being triggered, and how do I bring them back to what we're doing, and, not have them flee the building, like, so there's a lot involved in what we do as instructors to do it at the level in which we do it, if we want to get Krav Maga out to the masses.
Right. And so if we want to get it out to the masses, what do you see as the most important thing that we have to do then?
The state of the world is helping us a lot right now, right? The world is a messed up place. People are getting aggressive and more aggressive on a daily basis. And COVID caused a lot of that, whichever way you go in the election caused a lot of that. Like, there's just a lot going on in the United States, but in the world in general, where conflict is more prevalent now. So people are coming in more than they were before. And it's our job just to give them a good skill set to try to keep them or their family safe. But as far as marketing it, I don't play like some people do with fear-based marketing. I still do the whole, hey, Next Level is going to teach you reality-based self-defense in a safe environment that you're going to learn and grow and have fun in. And then I show videos of what our classes are like. And that generally brings people in. And if I can teach more instructors around the world and certify more instructors through our program, and Dr. Farber's and Itai Gills, then, we're going to get more and more people doing Next Level Krav Maga and Kavana and, Protect program. And it's just going to spread that way. So we're trying to do our part through doing, free public seminars and workshops, and then just teaching as many people as we can.
And so when did you, because you have your studio, which is Next Level, right?
Yes.
And then you've got Next Level, the organization, I guess.
Yes, so the affiliation.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, we started our school. I have two schools in Gilbert, and we started those in 1993 initially. And then, as I said a little bit earlier, through that economic crash, we restarted in 2014. So we have about 250 students at our Gilbert location, and we have our adult school and kids school is separate. Like, I was fortunate enough to get to a point with our student base that I needed to separate. So I created a nice big school with cages and multiple floors that we teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Krav Maga out of our adult school. And then our kids program teaches Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Krav Maga, and Taekwondo, and it has its own 3,000 square foot school. So we have almost 6,000 square feet between the two locations and close to about 350 students right now.
So you have
So
like
we're pretty
one.
fortunate.
So you have like one physical location that's just adults and one physical location that's just kids.
I do. Yes, sir.
Oh, neat.
Which, when you think about it, Paul, and you own your own school, so
Mhm.
so you understand what I'm talking about. It's really hard to market what we do to both kids and adults,
Mhm.
right? Because it can seem aggressive to a lot of parents. So when you walked into my school, even though we taught kids, it looked like an adult facility, like very clean, a beautiful facility. But when you have a cage against the wall and you got people hitting bags on the ground and people are just dripping in sweat and somebody walks in with their 3-year-old, like they may turn around and go right back out the door. So I built it to a point where it was the way it looked, right? The culture of the school was inviting to parents, to kids, to adults for training. But to really hit our stride, separating the school, it's a completely different culture for adults than it is for parents looking to teach their kids. Like it just is. So when you have separate facilities and you're able to not just split a floor, but buildings are separate. We have 2 buildings in the same area that are right around the corner from one another. And we have classes that are at the same time. So we will have parents that drop off their kids and then they jet over here to the other school and they train. And then they go back and they pick up their kids, or one of our instructors will walk the kids over to the other facility. And that has worked fantastic for us. And we're building that same model through our affiliates, which we have, 6 nationwide now, that they are training and growing their program. And a couple of affiliates have told us that if it wasn't for our Krav Maga program, that they would have been forced to close their school in COVID. We've literally doubled their enrollment and built their adult program. And now they're looking at opening that second location and doing the same thing, making 1 kids and 1 adults. So it is, we're developing a new model that I think will be good for a lot of people.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Thank you.
And I think I'd be interested in seeing just photos of your adult school and your kids' school, just to see how you're doing them differently. If you don't mind posting that up in our Krav Life community, I'm sure the community members would love it. Perfect. And if you're not a member of our community, go to community.mykravlife.com and sign up. There we go.
I highly recommend it. I'm involved myself. It's amazing.
So with your next level affiliates that you have, and you've got them spread around the country, I guess. What makes your, I guess, next level different from the other? Because you said that a couple of times, that it's different from some of the other systems of Krav, and maybe the Krav itself isn't different, but what makes next level different?
Well, there are a few things, I think, and there are some amazing organizations out there, and I can only speak from my experience. I've been blessed to train with Sam Sadeh, Dennis Amato, George Burian, a lot of people in the Alpha system that I loved. When I formed my own system after leaving Alpha, I just looked at where I thought I could improve upon not the system itself, because Alpha is amazing, but where I could improve upon the experience for affiliates coming in that know nothing about Krav Maga. So I looked at that. I partnered with Grandmaster Gil and with Grandmaster Farber and his Kavanagh Krav Maga program, and I implemented that into my school, which really adds a lot more ground and weapons defenses, and then protect the reality base. So that's what forms our next level affiliation, is the Kavanagh Krav Maga and the Protect brand. And then the things that we do through Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, because I train under Nick Steffen and Quan Fu, who are part of Gracie Humaida and the GF team as well. And Hoyler Gracie comes down and does some workshops with us. So I basically looked at where I thought the missing pieces were for somebody brand new coming in. So let's say that you own a school and it's a Kempo school or a Taekwondo school. We'll go with Taekwondo for now. And you really want to grow your adult program, but there's not much of a market for traditional martial arts to the adult community anymore. People are leaning more towards MMA and jiu-jitsu and things like that. And the two most popular martial arts on the planet are Krav Maga and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So we took those and we made it a big part of our program. And then we looked at, okay, if somebody is brand new and coming in, what do they get? Right? How can you help them market their program? What kind of videos do they have access to? Because you're not next to me. If you were near me, it would be easy. But if you're in Canada and I'm here in Gilbert, how can I help you learn our system before you have to travel here and train with me physically? So you start watching videos on the curriculum, which are instructor-based videos to learn how to not only perform the technique at a high level, but teach the technique at a high level. You know, and Sam taught me a lot of the right way to do things that way. And then I looked at the next step or the next level, which is, what are we missing? Well, if you can't train with me physically and you have no idea what a class structure looks like I can hand you curriculum, Paul, and I can hand you lesson plans, but what do you do with it? Like, you've never really seen a Krav Maga class. You've done a couple you've watched a couple of videos that teach you the technical aspect, but not how to teach it in your class environment. Not what structure should you run? How should you break down the classes? So we do, for our affiliates, we do have the videos that they access. We have the curriculum and the lesson plans drawn up for them. And then that next level is we have 2 classes a week that they jump into that are live classes that we teach. And they can jump in and their students can jump in and train with us. So they kind of get used to the structure of how we do things and how we rebut questions that we get, and, you know, the easiest way to teach techniques. And then we have a once a week instructor training where we Zoom with them. And now we can break down things that they might have questions on and learn and grow that way. And then we help them with their marketing, which we look at Premier and what they do. Very successful at teaching people the business side of it. And a lot of affiliates are, you know, that's not their strong point, is teaching them how to market the business. It's teaching you Krav Maga, and that's great. But what do I do to grow my business? How do I, from something as simple, Paul, as class scheduling, right? Like, how do I add these classes and where do I add them into my schedule? What are the best days in your area? Where do you see the most adults coming in? Where do you see the most kids training? How do I add, you know, new classes in when I only have so many classes in the day? Where is my dead weight at? What should I cut in order to make room for these classes? Like, there's a lot on the business aspect side that we help those students with, those affiliates with. And I think that's, along with the high level of training, is what separates us from a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that needs to happen in the industry as a whole, is to have good quality instructors, good quality training, and good quality business sense as well, right?
It is. I agree with you 100%, and that's where I wanted to plug those holes. But on top of that, Paul, here's another thing that most people don't do, all right? If you joined Next Level and you said, okay, I have a Taekwondo program, let's say, or you have a Krav program that you're just looking for a new affiliation, but you recognize the value in a kickboxing program or a jiu-jitsu program or an MMA program or a Muay Thai program, we have that at Next Level, right? You can join our program and be all encompassing. We have other instructors that are high level that head those programs, where somebody could join our program and they could run a jiu-jitsu program and a Krav Maga program under one umbrella. And nobody, to my knowledge, is doing that.
That's kind of cool. All right, sir. So where do you see the future of, well, let's do three different futures here. So the future of Next Level affiliate program, the future of Next Level your studio, and your future. Like, where do you want to take your training next?
I am a sponge of training. I try to travel around and train with as many people as I can, as much as I can. I soak up through, online videos. We've done this long enough, you and I, to recognize like the BS from what's real. So I watch a lot of jiu-jitsu stuff, and I train in a lot of jiu-jitsu stuff, again, just to make our Krav program better. But I look at a lot of the Krav stuff that's out there, and there's some very good content out there, and there's some very poor content out there. So we're going to start releasing more videos to the public that I think will help with the good quality, that you get from the John Whitmans and, Michael Ruppels and, Nurmamans and those people, Itai Gills, Sam Sidays, like those guys are high level, and I want to try to contribute to that as much as I can. So personally, I just want to continue training and growing. I'm going to be on the mat until the day I die. Like, I'm pretty sure it's going to be, here on the mat is how I'm going to go. As far as the studio itself, I just want to continue helping the children and adults in our community keep themselves and their families safe, create that positive mindset, that healthy way of living, that's going to enhance their life and hopefully, increase its longevity. And then on the affiliate side, we haven't really started promoting it. You're the first one that I've actually talked to about it outside of the affiliates that we have. And that's kind of word of mouth. We have people coming to us that are friends of our current affiliates that once they've told them how they've grown their program and, and doubled the size of their program, they want to talk to us about that. So I really see, the next level program, Kavana Krav Maga and Protect Krav Maga and next level, really growing in the next 2 to 3 years, where we will probably have, my goal is to have between about 70 and 100 affiliates, in the next 4 to 5 years. But I really think we'll be at about 30 by the end of 2022.
Oh, it's ambitious. That's awesome.
It is. But I mean, when you look at how we can help somebody grow their business, now it's just a matter of letting them know that we're here, Whether you already know Krav Maga and you're just looking to continue that growth, we have that opportunity. If you're looking to keep, the structure of what you have, we know that if you start a new martial art, you basically start over. So there's some affiliations that you'll join and it's like, listen, we know you're a black belt in Krav Maga, Paul, but you're joining our affiliation and you're not a black belt in this. So you need to start training, and then your instructors need to start training before you launch it in your school. And we understand what you've gone through, the time that you've put into your training. So we want to just continue, like, yes, you're going to learn and grow, and maybe there's better ways of doing things that we can help you with. But at the same time, we want you to continue your growth and your students to continue their growth, not stagnate and stop and say, don't advance them because they have to learn this new system and get through our stuff before they can progress. So that's kind of where, I think ambition wise, I think we can really get to that 30 in the next year once we actually, launch this out to the public.
Well, I look forward to seeing that launch, and maybe we'll do a subsequent interview when you do officially launch it worldwide or nationwide.
Yeah, anything you can do to help promote, your organization and Krav to the world and the community, which you are doing, great things. I get Lindsay's videos every day. I get your interviews and stuff, and it's fantastic what you're doing for the community. I'm part of the FEMA organization, the Federation of Israeli Martial Arts, and they do a lot of similar stuff with, a lot of the grandmasters of the martial arts, creating videos and things like that, and giving people a non-political organization that they can learn from and grow from. So I love FEMA, and you are kind of like side by side with providing that Krav Maga growth, and I appreciate that. I know we appreciate that.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for that. If you want to network with Mr. Edmondson there, you can do it inside of our community, because as he said, he's a member of our community. But if they wanted to reach out to you personally, what's the best way they could do that?
So they can find me on Facebook, Joseph Edmondson, on Facebook. They can reach out through our email, which is nextlevelgilbert@gmail.com. Feel free to look at our website, which is kravmagagilbert.com. Or in your community, they can get a hold of me as well.
Perfect. And you're also listed on our worldwide Krav Maga directory at mykravlife.com.
That's there. As well. Take advantage of all the everything that My Krav Life offers.
There we go. All right. Well, thank you for taking time out of your busy day, sir, and for sharing the wonderful information.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. I hope to talk to you soon. Bless.
You too. Bye-bye.